Before you make an appointment with a functional medicine or a functional nutrition provider, I want you to listen to this message. Over the last 25 years of treating patients, I've been a close observer of functional medicine both as an industry and as an academic pursuit. I've worked with and learned from many of the brightest minds in the field of functional medicine and functional nutrition. And I have quite a few opinions on how the industry has developed or not developed. You see, functional medicine is not a unified discipline in the field of medicine. It's actually more or less a kind of philosophy. Allow me to explain. That philosophy says, one, that we are born healthy. We're born able to adapt to very, very different environments. And the more successful that adaptation is, the closer we move towards health. The philosophy also states that when our adaptive systems are overwhelmed or interfered with, then that can lead to dysfunction, which leads to symptoms, which leads to illness, which leads to disease. In our office, we have a four-pronged approach: brain, blood, body, and behavior. Allow me to explain. Let's start with brain. The brain is the central nervous system. The central nervous system is the master system. It's the system that controls all the other systems in the body, and anything that interferes with brain function, that interference must be removed immediately. So now your brain is only 2% of your body weight, but yet it can use up to 30% of your energy. So it's heavily impacted by your metabolic health. And finally, your brain is where you experience symptoms of anxiety, depression, attention deficit, loss of focus and concentration, brain fog, and the list goes on and on. Next, we have blood. This is where we start when it comes to our assessment. Once we have all of your information, once we have all of your history, we do a comprehensive wellness panel. Now, this is every marker that your primary care physician would order, and then many more on top of that. Not because we think that we're smarter than your primary care doctor, but because there are markers they don't order because they don't apply lifestyle change to their assessment or their recommendations, and therefore those markers may not be as valuable to them. So we do, like we said, a comprehensive wellness panel that's going to include some micronutrients. It's going to include aspects of immune function, autoimmune function, hormone function, inflammatory markers that are systemic that we need to be aware of. The list goes on and on. Now, in the world of functional medicine or functional nutrition, there are a lot of tests that can be ordered. People want to know, do I have, adrenal fatigue? Do I have low testosterone? Do I have all of the things that people are concerned about? Should I get a hair analysis, a salivary hormone analysis, a urinary hormone analysis, a stool test? There's so many different tests. We can go on and on and on. You could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on tests, and many of these tests provide great value. But we don't want to assume that each finding from each of these tests has equal value. When we look at blood chemistry and we look at your history and we look at your brain, your body, your behavior, and your blood, that gives us our launching point. We can take care of so much low-hanging fruit in an initial phase of care that all of those additional expensive tests may actually not be necessary. And then third, we have our body, right? We have to know, how old is your body? Are you in the first third of your life? Are you in the second and third of your life? We want to know, have you gone through menopause? We want to know what your symptoms are. We want to know your previous medical history. Is there chronic pain? Did you have a knee replacement? Did you have a hip replacement? Do you have any chronic injuries? We want to understand your body and how that is impacting your current state of health. We want to know if you're under-muscled and overnourished. We want to know if you're under-muscled and undernourished. We want to know if you're adequately muscled and overnourished, and we want to know if you're lean and mean. So all of that means is we want to know, are you overweight? Are you underweight? If you're overweight, is there inadequate muscle so that if we go through a process of losing weight, that if we lose some muscle, it's okay? Or are you overweight without adequate muscle? And then we have to be very careful because we don't want to lose muscle, especially as we get older. So we want to understand your body in a way that gives us insight as to what kind of recommendations we can make for you. And then finally, behavior, right? We're all, in different parts of the world, different parts of the country. We have different ethnic backgrounds. We have different religions and cultural associations with food and the lifestyle choices that we make. We have different careers and jobs and work schedules. So we want to understand your daily behavior. We want to know your likes, your dislikes, your religious relationships to food, so to speak, and everything else that would impact our recommendations, so we can tailor a program that's going to address your health concerns while at the same time respecting your culture, your background, your heritage, your religion, etc. And also in the realm of behavior, we want to know, are there any addictions? Are there any food addictions that we have to address? A lot of times people come to us and they really have this emotional attachment to food, so they can intellectually say, oh, I can do this, I can do that. But then when stress hits them and they find themselves going to their pantry or their refrigerator in an emotional manner, it's a whole different experience than when they're not feeling that level of stress. So behavior is a very important part of our process. And then finally, working with a functional medicine or a functional nutrition provider should be empowering to you. You see, we spend a lot of time on the front end educating you about your findings. And it's not so that we can try to impress you. It's not so that we can try to make you a doctor. That's not our intention. But we explain things in depth in a way that's totally understandable. And it's because we want you to have your own reason why. We want you to become an expert in yourself. We want you to become an expert in what it takes for you to express health, to reverse disease, to improve symptoms, and to optimize performance based on your goals. So that we find to be very important, because the more you rely on yourself, the less you rely on us. And we can then develop a relationship over time where we do periodic assessments, yet you're in the driver's seat, as it should be. Because I, the doctor, cannot cure you, the patient, but I can give you direction on how you can cure yourself.